Hey guys, Brent Bolts Real Estate here, April 11th on Saturday. I wanted to give you a real estate market update and bear with me with this ball cap as my hair is getting a little wild during this shutdown. But just wanted to start off with letting you know how the market was doing prior to this starting. The real estate market was on fire. Basically, it was an extreme seller's market, multiple offers, multiple showings. Prices selling at ask or more than ask or value more than value. And I was anticipating about a 3% rise this year, and I think we're about to outpace that. We were headed into the spring market, which is typically the start of our busy season from the beginning of spring till about midsummer. That's kind of our peak. May being pretty much the peak of the real estate market. May, June is typically the best time to sell. So the real estate market was on fire. The lockdown hit March 19th, March 20th. From there, I was still seeing multiple offers on my listings, multiple showings, a lot of buyer demand. As the weeks progressed, we started to see more and more buyers leave the market. I think, um, which real estate's always a lag indicator. So you're always going to have about a 1 month to 2 month lag indicator. So anything you're seeing on the news, anything you're seeing in the newspaper, that's going to be from a month or two ago because that's when their stats come out and that's when they're able to show what's going on. So these stats here are going to be active, live, up to date, so you can see what's going on and we'll anticipate what's going to happen in the future here. As the weeks progressed, we started to get less and less homes going active. When a normal real estate market right now, we should actually start to see more and more homes hitting the market as the selling season starts to kick off. And we were getting the reverse. We're actually getting less and less. The first week of the shutdown, we're about 120 active listings in East County that were hitting the market. From there, about 110, and then this week, 35. So a pretty big drop off here in active listings. Buyers, we were getting multiple offers, multiple showings. Now we've definitely noticed buyers leaving the market as they're just uncertain of what's to come of this market. Sellers are timid to put their homes on the market right now due to folks coming through their homes and being sick or not sick. So a lot of worry out there. So what we're seeing is folks that are selling and buying right now that they have to. You're seeing basically a necessity that needs to be done. And a week later, after the shutdown, they declared real estate an essential service. Now, with that being said, what we're seeing is we're definitely seeing a drop in demand for the buy side for new purchases. However, lenders almost immediately got a huge influx of refinance demand. So as the feds cut the rates, it was kind of weird to see lenders were actually raising their rates because demand was so high at the time, and they were just overwhelmed and they couldn't handle all these applications. These small mom and pop lenders, you're seeing some of them, they couldn't service the loans. Some of them were absolutely not taking any more applications, and some of them were just flat out closing their doors, unfortunately. Um, Now that's changed to somewhat. We're actually seeing demand for the buy side fall, and you actually we're seeing interest rates fall with it. So interest rates have once again starting to fall, and refinance demand is definitely still there. Now the DTI ratios, you saw lenders because of the uncertainty starting to tighten up their lending requirements. You're seeing DTI ratios drop, which is debt to income ratios. So for instance, on an FHA loan, we saw a 56% minimum requirement drop down to 50. You're seeing some reserve requirements increase. And then also the biggest thing what we're seeing is we're seeing employment verification a day or two before we close. So they're calling up employers, making sure that the buyers are still employed and still getting an hourly rate. So we're definitely seeing some active escrows fall out of escrow because unfortunately there's been a huge increase in unemployment recently. So as unemployment starts to rise and the shutdown continues, what are we going to anticipate here happening? Well, there's basically a few things can happen. Number one, I'm hoping that because real estate was doing so well prior to this, that demand will continue after this, and we'll just see kind of a plateau where we really won't see a price drop or anything like that. Or the worst case scenario, we get a huge influx of foreclosures. We get a huge influx of rental properties that are vacant because they're getting evicted because they can't pay their rent. And that's another thing that I've seen on my rental properties that I have on the market is demand just fell off the table. We're seeing other rental owners. They're cutting rental prices or taking a bigger hit than sale prices is what I've seen. So as the rental market starts to decrease in demand and more people are getting evicted, I think we're going to see more vacant homes. And then also, worst case scenario, we're going to see more evictions. We're going to see more foreclosures. If we don't get back to work immediately and unemployment continues to rise, I think that it could cause a bigger issue with foreclosures and folks that need some money to unlock some money, so they have to put their homes on the market. So once this is all said and done, I'm actually anticipating a pretty big increase in inventory for homes for sale that are going to be hitting the market as soon as this is done with. The good news is this isn't like the crash of 2007, 2008. And that being said is because at the time there was not much equity in people's homes. Right now, people have the most equity that they've ever had in history, really. There's a lot of people sitting on a ton of equity. So if they need to sell their home, they're going to be walking away with cash versus back then they were short selling. They couldn't get out from underneath it. So this actually, I think real estate is actually going to pull us out of this versus last time it caused the collapse. So worst case scenario, we're going to see defaults on mortgages. If depending on your lender, if they push it out a full year, 3 months, that'll help the default process, but you'll actually see a lagging indicator more. However, that rental market, like I was saying before, you're going to see a lot of folks getting evicted because the landlords still need to pay their mortgages and they still need to pay for these homes. So they need to put renters in them. So if we are getting more foreclosures, more defaults, more servicing problems, we could have a big problem on our hands. There could be a big lending problem in which I would anticipate another bailout for the mortgage industry. I hope it doesn't come to that. That would be the worst case scenario. I'm anticipating probably somewhere in the middle here, where we're going to get an increase in inventory and then a little slight buyer demand as unemployment starts to drop and more buyers come into the market. And I'm hoping for a nice level ground where we see a little bit of a dip, maybe 3, most 10%. And then it's going to come right back up, especially with this stimulus plan and everybody getting back to work, and the economy should rise. How long will that take? It's just unknown. There's a lot of unknowns right now. So I'll definitely just keep you up to date as we're seeing things right now. But I wanted to hop on this week and let you know that we definitely saw a decrease in active listings come on the market and a decrease in buyer demand. So what would my recommendation be if you needed to buy or sell real estate right now? My recommendation would be to only be out there if you absolutely needed to. If you're a seller and you're anticipating selling this year, would I still try right now? Maybe. It really depended on my situation and what I was trying to do. And I might go for it, depending on that. If I was a buyer, I'd sit tight. I wouldn't be out buying right now unless I absolutely had to. And if something came up that I just absolutely couldn't refuse. Always remember that when you're buying real estate, it's a long-term game. So as long as you're going to be in there for 10 years more, you're going to win almost every single time. Okay, so my recommendation for buyers would be sit tight, wait till this blows over. I'm anticipating interest rates to stay pretty low and pretty flat. And then if I was selling, I'd probably sit tight unless I needed to, or there would have to be circumstances in which I would put it on the market. But other than that, we're definitely going to see a bigger hit in the rental market. I think that we're definitely going to see a bigger hit in the commercial side of real estate as well, as these businesses also are going to have trouble, paying rent and so on and so forth. Outlook for the real estate is going to be, hopefully we're going to stay steady. If we're not steady, then we're going to see a little drop, And then worst case scenario, we're going to need another bailout from the government for this lending servicing. But if you have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out. Brent Bowles Real Estate, 619-504-5904. Enjoy the day and have a happy Easter weekend.